Hello everyone, welcome to EditTap. So in today's session we are going to discuss a very important news article of finance, that is about the RBI that has brought the new norms, new directions for the microfinance lending. So in today's session we will understand about the changes in the microfinance definition, what new norms the RBI has brought, what were the earlier norms, and why there was a need for the new norms and the new directions. That all we are going to see in today's session. So now before starting with the session, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are new to the channel and join our Telegram channel for the PDF of this session, and you can get the link of the Telegram channel in the description box below. So now starting with the news article that the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has brought the regulatory framework for microfinance loans directions 2022, that is this month only, okay. And microfinance loans are the small loans, we can say, and I will tell you more about the microfinance, the definition. They are the collateral free loans, no collateral you have to give. So these type of loans are under the microfinance loans that are given to low income households usually. So we will understand the definition that is given by the RBI in the coming slides, but before that, what is this direction? Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India has issued the new directions for the microfinance lending and said that all entities, all the organizations, let it be the banks, let it be the NBFCs, let it be the NBFC MFIs, that is the NBFC non-banking financial companies, that are the microfinance institutions or the housing finance companies, are subject to the same regulations. So all the entities will be subjected to the same regulations if they are working, if they are engaged in the microfinance lending. Okay, so before, what was the criteria? That only the NBFC MFIs, only the NBFC MFIs were under the regulatory framework, but now it has been said that all the entities that are working for the microfinance lending will be under the regulatory framework. So new direction, that's why it has been brought, and many other reasons we will see. So the comprehensive regulatory framework was applicable only to NBFC MFIs before. That's why this kind of new norms has come. Okay. So regulations did not permit more than 2 NBFC MFIs to lend to the same borrower. So before, what was the criteria? That the regulations were only for the NBFC MFIs and not more than 2 NBFC MFIs can lend to the same borrower. But there can be many banks, many other institutions that are lending to the same borrower, and that's why as a result small borrowers are increasingly able to get multiple loans from several lenders. Okay, more than even their capacity to pay back. They were getting many loans from multiple loans from many of the lenders, because only not more than 2 NBFC MFIs can lend to the same borrower, but this kind of criteria were not for the banks but not for the other lenders. Okay. So multiple loans, or we can see the problem of over indebtedness and the multiple lending was created, and that's why the new norms has been brought, so that this kind of problem can be controlled, can be reduced. So besides, there is a regulatory ceiling on the maximum amount that can be lent by the NBFC MFI to a microfinance borrower. So these kind of criteria were before the new norms, and they were especially for the NBFC MFIs, and this you can understand that this is kind of discriminatory, that the other lenders, the banks and the other lenders are not affected, only the NBFC MFIs are under the regulatory purview. So as well as this kind of norms were only for the NBFC MFIs. Similarly, the regulatory ceiling on interest rate was applicable only to NBFC MFI. So there was a regulatory ceiling, there was a ceiling on the interest rate that was set by the RBI, and that was the ceiling. Maximum interest rate that you can take from the borrower was applicable only for the NBFC MFIs, and the NBFC MFIs were not able to go beyond that interest rate. As well as what the other lenders were doing, the other banks were doing, they were keeping their interest rate near to the ceiling, because the ceiling is told by RBI. So they were like, we have predetermined interest rate, and so we should keep the interest rate near to the ceiling rate only. So they were charging higher interest rates, we can say, and the ceiling interest rate, we can say, and there was no competition because they all were keeping near to the ceiling only. The objective of the regulatory framework, that was the regulatory framework for the NBFC MFIs, was to make the credit available to the low income household, because the microfinance lending is specially to the low income households in a transparent manner, while ensuring that the borrower's protection is catered to. There should be no coercive actions that is taken against the low income household to get the money. But this kind of regulatory framework is only for the NBFC MFIs, which are only the 30% of the microfinance only. So 70% of the microfinance lending is done by the other institutions that were not under the regulatory framework. So you can understand that 70% of the microfinance lending was happening outside of the regulatory framework. So the banks remain the largest microfinance lenders with an about 40% market share, and they were not under the regulatory framework. So they were lending, multiple lending was happening through them, followed by NBFC and MFIs and small finance banks and other NBFCs and NGOs. So the small finance banks, the NBFCs, the NGOs were also not under the regulatory framework. Okay, so now we can come to the new norms. You have understood that why the new norms came, because the previous norms were not satisfactory. There was the problem of over indebtedness, the problem of multiple lending, the pricing issue was there, that all the banks, all the NBFCs were keeping their interest rate near to the ceiling rate. So now the new norm has said that, and RBI said a microfinance loan is defined by the RBI as a collateral free loan granted to a household, especially to the low income households. That is, the limit is of 3 lakh. If they have the income, annual household income is of 3 lakh. Before, why this statement is new, why this definition is new? Because the before limit was 1.2 lakh for the rural households and 2 lakh for the urban or semi-urban households. Okay, so the new definition is this, that if the loan is collateral free loan, it is given to the low income households that have the annual household income up to 3 lakhs, then this will be called as microfinance loan or microfinance lending. So according to the new rule, what was happening before was that you have to determine that 50% of the loan that you are taking under the microfinance lending, 50% of that loan should go to the earning capacity. You must be buying the sewing machines, or if you have the restaurant, you should be buying the capital for it, or something that engages you in the end use should be the earning. But what if you want the loan, you want the whole loan, if you are taking 50,000 as the loan, if you want the whole loan for your son's college or for your daughter's college fees, then what? So now it has been said that you do not need to tell your NDUs, you do not need to put 50% to the earning capacity. That offered the collateral free loans, that is the microfinance loans that is offered to the low income households regardless of the end use now and mode of application, processing, disbursal, whatever happening, are considered microfinance loans. So these loans, that regardless of the end use, that wherever they are using, wherever the households are using it, they will also come under the microfinance loans. Before, what was happening, only those loans that have 50% of the end use for the earning capacity, only those were the microfinance loans. But now end use is not there, like whatever end use you can do. So RBI has removed the caps on the pricing of small loans given by NBFC MFIs. So the interest rate ceiling that was there for, especially for the NBFC MFIs, that has also been removed. Okay. Then, and this has brought them to the same level as other such lenders, including the banks. So now the NBFC MFIs are similar, are on the same, they are also giving the microfinance loans. The banks are also providing the microfinance loans. So they should be on the same playing field now, if they are giving the same kind of loans. Same regulation should be for both of them when they are giving the microfinance loans. So each RE, each regulatory entity shall put in place a board approved policy regarding pricing of microfinance loans. So now there is no ceiling that for the NBFC MFIs, and how all the entities have to manage their pricing of microfinance loan, how they have to manage the interest rate of the microfinance loans, how they will decide. So they have to put a board approved policy, and the interest rate should be determined on a particular model that should take into account the risk premium that is there. If a household is very risky, if I will give to this household, it is that the money will turn into NPA, non-performing asset. He he might not return back my money. So risk premium has to be taken into account, the cost of funds has to be taken into account, the margin rate has to be taken into account, and then well documented interest rate model has to be built. Okay, so the board approved policy regarding the pricing of microfinance loans should be there, and this will be under the subjected to supervisory scrutiny by the Reserve Bank. It's not like you are putting the interest rate to 50% or 60% or so high. So this will be under the scrutiny of the supervisory under the RBI. Okay. So RBI has also said that there shall be no prepayment penalty. If I have the money, I want to return the loan now, I can. There is no prepayment penalty for microfinance loans. Penalty, if any, if I am not able to pay back the money, there is delayed payment. But from the 50,000 of the loan, I have already paid back 30,000. There is only 20,000 back left. Okay, if there is delayed payment in this 20,000, the penalty should be only according to this 20,000 and not according to the whole entire loan amount. Okay, so penalty, if any, for delayed payment shall be applied on the overdue amount only and not for the entire loan amount. Now 75% of the NBFC MFI entities must qualify as microfinance institutions loan. Okay, 75% of the loan that they are giving, okay, of the loan, 75% of the loans that they are giving should be the microfinance loans. That should be microfinance fund lending, and then only they can become the NBFC MFI. Before, the situation was that 85% of the loans that you are giving, that should be the microfinance loans. That is, you are giving to only small households, only the households you are giving the 85% of the loans, that is also collateral free. But now it has been said that 75% of the loans only, and now 25%. 75% should be the microfinance loans, and the 25% you can give to anyone you want, to the institutions you want, to the companies you want. So that is a betterment for the NBFC MFI, because now there is more leverage. They can give 25 to 25% to the other institutions if they want, and they do not want to give the two households only. So the previously put cap on the number of entities lending to one borrower has also been removed, as well as NBFC MFI, because that kind of situation has been removed, that only two, not more than two, can lend to same borrower. So NBFC MFI current the net owned funds should be 5 crore or rupees 2 crore in northeastern regions, and this is how they can become the NBFC MFI. If they want to become the NBFC MFI, then they are lending, like 75% of the lending should be for the microfinance lending only, and they should have the asset size of net owned fund of 5 crore or more than that, and by March 2025 they have to have the net owned fund higher, and by 2027 you can see, okay, it should be 10 crore. So now next is financial entities should also have a board approved policy for the assessment of household income, that how like they are calculating. If I am saying I have the annual income of 2 lakh only, how they will assess? Like anyone can take, even the money can take the loan from the microfinance lending now, by saying that, oh, I have such less income. But so there should be assessment of the household income, that you are saying rightly or not. Okay, and that assessment, the indicative methodology has been given by the RBI, that this can be the method you can follow, or any method, but on these lines it will be better. So the parameters can be the composition of household, the accommodation where you are living, the basic amenities that you have, assets that you have, primary source of your income, other sources of income. Such kind of indicative methodology has been given by the RBI, but it should be according to the board approved policy. Maybe they do not want to follow all of these criteria, maybe less criteria they will follow, but they have to give the assessment of household income, and they have to mandatorily submit the information regarding the household income to the credit information companies. Okay, so there are 4 credit information companies in India, and they have all the information of all the credit that is being given. And so like if one borrower has taken the credit from 5 different institutions, so this credit information company will tell that this borrower is not a very good borrower, it has not returned the money of 3 of the banks. So this kind of information the banks can exchange through the credit information companies to be secure, to not let their money turn into NPAs by giving to such kind of borrowers. all banks NBFCs must provide reasons for the income discrepancy. So if I have told that my income is 3 lakh, but they have found that no, this income is not 3 lakh, the income is higher, maybe 5 lakh, 6 lakh, so the income discrepancy they have to show in the to the credit information companies, they have to tell. So proper assessment of the household income should be there. Next is, the RBI has said financial entities should have a board approved policy to provide the flexibility. Now COVID came, many of the households become more poor and they were not able to repay. So such kind of situations can come if to the low household people, maybe the company closed down in which they were working or something. So the board approved policy should be there that the bank or the NBFC can provide the flexibility of repayment periodicity on microfinance loans as per borrowers requirements. Okay, because the borrower is a low income borrower, microfinance lending is done so that we can be helpful to the low income households. Okay, so that their lifestyle can become better. So we do not want to pressurize, the RBI do not want to pressurize the households. So there should be some flexibility of repayment periodicity on microfinance loans as per borrowers requirements. Okay. Next is, RBI has removed, as I told you, that there were the requirement that not more than 2 NBFCs can provide the loan to the borrower, to a single borrower. This kind of statement has been removed, the cap on the number of NBFC MFIs who can provide loans to the microfinance borrower. But now you will say that it will increase the multiple lending. The norm should be that even the bank should not be able to, like only 2 or 1 bank should be able to provide to a borrower. So instead of this kind of statement that only 1 bank should provide to the borrower, only 2 NBFCs should provide the borrower, there is a different statement that the RBI has given, that RBI has focused on borrower's repayment capacity. Okay, and accordingly capped the fixed obligation to income ratio at 50%. What does this mean? This means that computation of loan repayment, when a bank is computing that how much loan repayment obligation this person should have, like it has taken the loan of 10,000, so every month he should be given 200, let's say. So the bank have to take into account loan repayment obligation shall be taken into account all outstanding loans of the household. That how much the person has taken the loans from other banks, other NBFCs. Okay, all outstanding loans. Let it be the microfinance lending, let it be the collateral free loans or the collateral loans. So all the loans the bank has to see that, like with some other bank it is giving 1,000 as the repayments, with some other bank it is giving 2,000 as the repayment. So it has to see the all outstanding loans of the household, so that the outflows capped at 50% of the monthly household income shall include repayments. Okay, that means that not more than 50% of the income of the household should go to the repayment. Only 50% is the cap, not more than this can go to the banks. Any bank, any NBFC. Okay, only the household only can give 50% of its income to the banks, to the NBFCs for the repayment. It can be including both principal as well as interest component, so that 50%, the left out 50% can be for their survival. So even if a bank is like even 2,000, 3,000, this is 3,200. So if a bank is giving, a new bank is giving the loan or a new NBFC is giving the loan, it has to keep into account that if the income of the person is 10,000 and so 5,000 is the cap of the repayment, monthly repayment. So the new repayment of the new loan cannot be more than 1,800. Let it be principal, let it be interest rate, not more than 1,800 the bank can take now. Okay, and if the 5,000 category is completed, if the person has taken the loan and he is giving monthly, he is giving 5,000 to different, like 1,000 to one, 2,000 to one bank, 200 to a NBFC, or 1,800 to another bank. So this 5,000 limit is crossed, the 50% limit is reached. So now no other bank can give the loan to this person. Okay, because the repayment capacity can be only 50% of the income of the household, because other 50% it needs for its survival. Okay, otherwise there will be multiple lending that will happen here also, and over indebtedness that the person cannot repay back. So that's why this 50% category is there, that even if many of the banks are giving loan to this person, but there should be like repayment capacity also. This person have the repayment capacity, and that's why he is able to give 50% of his income. Other 50% will be survival. Okay. Next is each RE, each regulated entity shall disclose pricing related information, how much interest rate it is charging, how much other charges it is charging. So all the information should be there in the standardized simplified fact sheet that should be provided to the borrower. Okay, so whatever loan amount is there, total interest charged during the entire tenure, it is the loan for 2 years, 3 years, the processing fees, the insurance charges, any of the charges has to be described in the fact sheet, and this should be shown beforehand to the borrower so that there can be no like later on charges that is added up. So this is the summary that you can see. Okay, it's unsecured loans by other NBFCs. See, it is not only that NBFC, MFIs are the only one that can lend, do the microfinance lending. There are other NBFCs also that can lend the microfinance lending, that can do the microfinance lending. There are different norms that we will see. So benefits, now the benefits are that besides creating a level playing field, so the level playing field has been created that all will have the same regulatory framework, the same norms are for all, let it be the banks, small finance banks or the NBFCs, NBFC, MFIs, all will follow the same norms. The framework will address issues of over indebtedness and multiple lending. So what will happen, that over indebtedness will not happen. Okay, multiple lending will not be a problem now. Why it will not be a problem? Because still, even if many of the banks are giving the loan to the person, not many of the banks can give. First of all, 50% of the income can only be taken as the repayment. So what will happen, that when this 50% mark will reach, the other banks will not be able to give the loan to that borrower. So one bank has given, as I have told you, one bank is taking the 1,000 as repayment, interest plus let's say the interest plus principal, and the other bank is taking 3,000, one NBFC is taking 1,000. So only three institutions are lending to this person if the income is 10,000. Okay, so not more than 3 can give. So multiple lending problem will be curbed to a level with this one norm for all the institutions, that not more than 50% of the person's household income you can take, annual income, and monthly, from monthly you can only take 50% as the repayment, any institution let it be. Revision of household income is a very progressive move that is being done by the RBI. Due to this, what happens, that more households that are in need will be able to take the credit, will be able to access the credit, taking us closer to the financial inclusion goals, as more people will be connected to the financial system. Before, the limit was 2 lakh for the urban households, so now the limit has been increased to 3 lakh for the rural and urban households, so that will be very beneficial. That is very beneficial. The central bank has also increased the maximum limit on microfinance loans given by the NBFCs, okay, that are not the qualified for NBFC, MFIs. Even if you are not an NBFC, MFI, still you can do the MFI lending, that is the microfinance lending, still you can do. Before it was only 10% of your total assets value, but now it is 25% of your total assets value you can provide as the microfinance lending. Okay, that is increasing the competition. More institutions will come, more NBFCs will come, more banks will come, more competition will be there, lesser interest rate will be charged as more competition is there. So demand is less and now supply will be higher, so the interest rate will be lesser to the borrowers. This will be very beneficial to the borrowers. So the ceiling of interest rate has also been removed, and this was functioning as the interest rate for the industry. All the banks, all the NBFCs were charging near to the ceiling. That was a very troublesome situation because there was no competition. Like they were charging, they were doing this near to same interest rate, near the ceiling. So now what will happen, that the removal of this rate may lead players to they have to make the board. So board approved interest rate they will be charging, and different institutions will be charging different interest rate according to their economies of scale, according to their lending capacity, according to their situation. Okay, so there will be more competition, more discrepancy will be there in the interest rate, and from where you can get the lesser interest rate you will get it from there. Okay, so this is the question for today, that the RBI has issued new directions for microfinance lending, which is of the following statement is or are incorrect with respect to the new regulations that you have to tell. Very easy question now that you know all of the important norms, so you will be able to answer this question easily. So now these were the people that gave the right answer of the previous session question. Option 1 and 3 was right. There was some problem in the options, but the answer was strengthening the rupee as well as reducing the inflation. But if in the exam there is not the option of 1 and 3, then strengthening the rupee will be a better answer, because we are talking about sell, buy, swap with the dollars. So here what is happening with the dollar, you are trying to strengthen. So directly from the sell, buy, swap, the first thing that should come in your mind should be strengthening the rupee. The better answer is of course 1 and 3 both.